Okay, Alex, so you tell me this. A
What?
lot has been made about Mr. William Nylander.
What do you want to talk
Listen,
about?
well, here's what I would ask you. Now, I personally don't think that the Brinkat stuff's comparable to Nylander. That's just me, though. Um,
Why
but
not?
I just think different situations, different sort of looks at it from agents. I just don't know if different kinds of players stylistically. I mean, like legitimately, right now, like Alex DeBrincat, again, the profile and comparable of player existed with him in a long term deal with Cole Caulfield. Like that was there.
Sure.
Nylander is just. I just think I think it's a little different. It's just me, but let's say that you know if you want to we're going to be agent and GM here. Let's look at that deal. Let's look at Sebastian Aho and let's look at Timo Meyer's deal and let's look at all of this realistically, what is, and I think I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. What is the maximum you would pay for William Nylander? Let's say on a long term deal, and we'll say 8 years.
$9 million. The
That's
max. The
the
max.
max.
I
The
don't not a
max.
penny over $9 million.
Not 9 million,
And one.
$88,000.
No, nine
No,
million dollar $9 million. The max, the utmost max. Like there's no I'm not moving from that number. He's
no,
not better. Okay, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but Sebastian Aho reported number 9.5. Is he
mm-hmm.
better than Sebastian Aho? No. No, he's not. He's not.
No.
Now you go down. Timo Meyer, $8.8 million.
Mm-hmm.
I'd argue closest comparable.
I think they're very different style of players, but if
Sure.
you're looking at overall like production wise and like
Mm-hmm.
where they play in lineups, I think that's a very, very fair comparable.
And why I'll say 200 grand just for the kick of it.
No.
Max $9 million.
Okay. What about a short term deal? We'll do 3 years.
I don't know.
Because I would
Eight.
argue that would be a higher AAV.
What?
Yeah,
No, definitely not.
really.
Definitely not.
Really.
There's no way it can be more than $9 million a year at 3 years.
Okay.
Because then you can use the same argument for Alex DeBrincat. If he went 8 years, was he going to get a lower AAV?
No,
No,
maybe.
no,
Yeah, no,
no,
no.
no. The longer you go, I think the higher it gets, and I don't think it gets drastically higher.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 3 years, $8 million max,
I
max.
just thought I'd ask. You're fed up with it. You just need it to happen, don't you?
I either want him to be traded or signed. Like I'm done with the 10 million. Who's
Oh,
giving him
okay.
$10 million?
Okay, we'll save the UFA and RFA talk for another episode when we're desperately trying to find things to talk about. So I'm going to ask you this. Okay, you just said something there that was interesting to me. So you're saying if he's not signed, you trade him. So you're done with the own rental stuff. If he's not going to be here, goodbye.
But this is a different level of own rental. This is a completely different level of own rental. You're talking about the fourth best player on your team, or maybe if you can make the argument. Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Riley, Nylander. It's different than before. Before you're talking about JVR, Bozak. You're playing on your third line. Like that's a different level of own
Well,
rental. You trade
what
them
I
the
mean
summer. You
is,
trade them the summer before. You're then having to trade for a player like that come the trade deadline. So it's kind of stupid.
so when let me phrase it like this then: if he's not signed by the start of the season, do you want him gone by like American Thanksgiving? Is it you don't want to take the risk of let's say he gets there to the start of the season. Let's say he tells his agent we got to figure this out by September 1st or whatever. Otherwise, we're going to wait for the season.
If he's asking for $10 million or 10 plus million come September 1st,
Mm-hmm.
he's not moving. He's not moving off that number.
So
Right?
you're
That is
saying
that
if
reasonable to say that we've started the conversation pre-July 1st. William Nylander said 10 million plus dollars. You have Alex DeBrincat signing for under 8. You have Timo Meyer signing for 8.8. You have comparables, yet you're sticking to $10 million and more come September 1st, and it's been 3 or 4 months. We're not like, what are we doing here?
Look, all the posturing and all this, I think it gets done around 9. Like that's my opinion. Nothing to go off of there. Just that's just gut feeling for me, right? There's always going to be a bit of like, I want this money. Oh, I'm not going to give you that money. I'll give you this money. There's a bit of that
Sure.
negotiation. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just trying to
100%.
get to a point where are you comfortable in keeping him if he's not signed? Like you're not willing to take the risk of it's going well. Like if they're out the playoffs come the deadline, which isn't not going to happen,
Oh,
I'd
he's
be like,
gone.
whatever, he's got to go. But if they're in a spot, they're top of the division. We know they're playing Tampa in the first round in January. Are you okay with keeping him then and still maybe
Sure, because
using that time?
you're
I'm just
you're
trying to
you're
figure out
gonna,
where's the line for you
but
timeline wise.
come January, you're gonna get half the value for him that you would now because half the season is gone. You're
Mm-hmm.
not you're the thing with this situation is there's so many other variables involved in this for whatever reason, because he's waiting for to see what Matthews is waiting to see what he gets, but at the same time William Nylander doesn't want to get screwed because he thinks he got screwed the last negotiation, which he didn't. It was just the entire situation was stupid. Like, how about this? I've seen it suggested that maybe the three of them talk, like Matthews, Marner, Nylander. That would be a great idea, but they're not going to do that because this isn't a competent core.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a core that was apparently surrounded with smart enough people to give them that idea. They brought in Marlowe, they brought in Spezza, they brought in Thornton, and apparently the one thing they didn't teach them was to communicate with each other. Like, do you think
Oh
when
God, yeah, I
Malkin
forgot about that. I
when Malkin and Letang almost walked, or Letang Stein, but when Malkin almost walked, who was on the phone?
believe it was Sid and Letang trying to be
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, trying to be like, hey buddy, come
Right.
on down, yeah.
And they're all like, let's figure this out. Why aren't we doing that? Why is it that why aren't they doing that? It's been brought up a couple times, but it's wildly concerning when you actually sit down and think about it. In the playoffs, and it was Tampa game, but I don't remember what game it was. Keefe said that they had, like, the entire team had dinner together for the first time in a while. Isn't that concerning?
Remember how who was it? Dougie Hamilton was like banished because he wouldn't attend dinners, and like Sagan was late, and like Subban was late to certain things, and those guys got suspended and eventually traded. Like culture is such an important thing in the NHL, and the fact that the Leafs weren't like hanging, that's kind of weird.
I'm so like there's so many other variables. I would love to give you an answer, but I went on a bit of a rant there. But like, the entire thing here, though, is one guy's waiting for another guy to sign, the other guy's waiting for the other guy to sign, and Nylander's saying, I don't want to get screwed because he doesn't think he's worth $4 million less than the other two guys who signed.
Which,
So have a
yeah,
conversation and figure it out. Like, if you're at it, this is why I say if he's not budging on the $10+ million come September, he's not going to budge. Whether you wait until the end of the season, whether you wait until January, he's not going to budge on that number, clearly. So call it a day and trade him. I don't know. I don't want to trade him. He's a really good player. I love William Nylander. He's the
great
only guy.
personality, yeah.
He's the only guy on this team who gives no crap, who doesn't care.
In a good way.
In a good way. He does not care. If Mitch Marner had the personality of William Nylander, good God. Is like it's good. I want him to be a Leaf. He's the only one who is consistent in the playoffs. Not at $10 million.
I think we ended there then. Not because we're running out of time, but because we have nothing else to talk about. And I think that was a good fiery rant to finish off here. I can't wait for the Carlson trade to happen in about an hour or things of that nature. Alex, is there anything else you want to say?
I want this William Nylander stuff to be done with.
Um, I can't wait for it to happen like the day before free agency, like minutes before, like his RFA stuff. It's like it lasts all the way there, and then it's like, yeah, he signs for like a perfectly fair deal. And it's like, oh god. And then Marner's comes, and it's like, oh god. Like it's so annoying that we're gonna deal with this. By the way, it's taken away from the Matthew stuff. That needs to happen. And then it's gonna immediately go to Mitch Marner. And that's gonna be even worse because it's Mitch Marner.
Because we all know who's going to be doing the talking for
Dude,
him.
I can't wait to see how much Marner asks for. I cannot wait for it to happen.
I
But
can't wait to hear what certain people have to say. I'm not going to name names, but y'all know who I'm talking about.
Paul Marner.
Nope, didn't say that.
Oh, okay. All right.
I
Well,
didn't say that.